Yeah. Come. Yeah. Yeah, come on.
Hello everybody, I am Sirius here, the Angry Cock, and today I am talking with everyone's favorite primate, everyone's favorite missing link, a monkey. And it's debatable between whether he is a chimpanzee or a bonobo, but this hairy ape-like creature, who lip-syncs poorly and has rods in his hands, has not only turned many heads in a short period of time, but also caused the bunching of panties with those who like to give head. He is a flinger of turds and truths. He is TFM, the Turd Flinging Monkey. How are you doing?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Not too bad. I'm pretty happy to be talking to you. We've had conversation before, but this would be the first interview style.
Yep, got to keep it professional.
Yep. We do our best here at MGTOW Daily, whatever the hell you want to call it. Okay, so let's start this off. Now, I noticed that you put up a video recently, and you kind of mentioned a little bit about your history coming to MGTOW, and I know we discussed it privately. But do you feel like you want to share any of that information with the listeners today?
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about it. I just want to preface it with kind of a little disclaimer.
Sure.
Because, and I think this is part of just our gynocentric society. When a man basically opens up about painful things, there is a proclivity to accuse him of being a victim or trying to play the victim card or fishing for sympathy, because men aren't supposed to talk about things like that. Yeah. So, I'll talk about, my path, but I just want to let everyone know that I'm not even though I was the victim of stuff, I don't consider myself a victim. I don't want anyone's sympathy, and even if I could go back and change things, I wouldn't change much. I would change the time I was falsely accused of rape, because that really sucked. But other than that, I'd do it all over again because it made me the person I am.
Right. All right, man.
All right. There you go. All right. So my journey to the MGTOW was, it goes back before MGTOW, before YouTube, back with dial-up modems and everything like that.
Yeah.
Because I was raised by a single mom, and she's a total whore. I've called her whore to her face, so I'm not just talking behind her back. She's been married, I think, over 10 times.
Wow.
She's crazy. And I have 4 siblings, all with different dads. And she was just, all she did was she kept having kids so that she can get the welfare and the child support. So basically she never had a job. She would just have kids with different guys so that she would get those child support checks along with the welfare. And then she would spend it all on herself. I didn't tell you the story. It's a funny story. Okay. So when I was little, she used to give us, there was a Hostess outlet near our house where I grew up. And she would drive there, but she made us stay in the car. She said she was going to go in and get us Twinkies, and we'd stay in the car. Mm-hmm. And then she'd come back with boxes of Twinkies, and we were fine. And then when, later on, I'll get to this, when I went to live with my grandma, mm-hmm. we went and bought Twinkies at the store. And when I ate them, I was like, what's wrong with these Twinkies? They're too fluffy. The cream is too light. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, they're supposed to be like kind of spongy, and the cream's supposed to be almost like toothpaste. She's like, no, those are stale. Well, what my mom was doing was dumpster diving.
Jesus.
To get Twinkies. Yeah, so she was giving us free Twinkies so she could spend our child support on herself. So, yeah, that was my mom. I don't talk to my mom. Wow. So, she had some of her husbands were abusive. One of them was a heroin addict. One of them was an alcoholic. One of them was an ex-con. And she ended up abandoning me with my grandma. I think I was about 11. I think I was about to start middle school. And what's really messed up about it it was such a traumatic event that I created a false memory to kind of protect myself from it. So when I would tell people this story of how I stood up to my mom and I told her I don't want to go back to, her and my stepfather, because I was tired of him beating me. And so, I stood up like a man, and she left me there. But in reality, she just abandoned me. But I had that false memory to kind of protect myself from the pain of being abandoned by my mother. And it was only later on when I was talking to my grandma, and I told her the story, and she's like, "That's not how it happened. You were like crying like a baby because your mom abandoned you." And then when she told me that, the real memory came flooding back. But like it shocked me because I'd never experienced that mental defense mechanism of substituting a traumatic event with a false memory before. So that happened. Then my grandma she tried to set me up with my dad so I can go live with him. And so I lived with my dad and my stepmom for about 6 months. And my dad is the biggest mangina, white knight faggot that ever graced God's earth. So my stepmom was super abusive, and she was this kind of lady that had like a china set and a grandfather clock, and she had this little kind of toy dog type of thing.
Right.
And everything had to be quiet all the time. So I had to stay in my room, and I couldn't make any noise. And when it was time for dinner, she'd bang on my door, and I'd have to run to dinner, eat as quickly as I could, and then go back to my room. And she would deliberately prepare hot food so I would burn my mouth while I was eating quickly. And she was kind of a frail lady, so I could have taken her if I wanted. It wasn't like she was mostly just verbally and psychologically abusive. There was one time where she slapped my brother, and then she went to slap me, and I told her, "If you hit me, I hit back." And then my dad told me I had to leave. So I went back to live with my grandma after that. So I lived with my grandma through high school. Then I was falsely accused of rape in high school. But,
I want to hear about that, man.
Okay, so I was dating. And the thing was, I was actually pretty popular in high school after coming back from my dad, because when I was with my mom, we were dirt poor.
Yeah.
On like welfare, we had free clothes from the welfare office, so I always had Levi's pants, Vans shoes, and like the same 5 shirts as the Mexican kids. But when I went to go with my dad, he had money, so we went clothes shopping, and he bought me like the most expensive Nikes in the store and all this other stuff. So I actually had friends when I lived with my dad for those 6 months. So then when I came back, I still kept the clothes, obviously.
Right.
So then I was a cool kid, even though like these were the same kids that ignored me when I was living there before because I was wearing poor clothes. Now they wanted to be my friend. Anyway, so I was dating girls, like, cute girls. Even I actually had like a love triangle going on with a couple cheerleaders.
Nice.
But yeah, pretty sweet. That was my peak right there. I peaked too early. But so I dated this one girl, and we were only dating for like less than a week. You know how high school is.
Yeah.
But I ended up calling her one morning, and I heard a guy's voice in the background, and I knew it wasn't her dad. And so I asked her, "Who's that in the background?" Because she didn't have a brother or anything. And she's like, "Oh, I had the TV on." But he said her name.
Right.
And I'm like, bullshit. And so I called her some unkind words. I don't even remember what I said. And she decided to get back at me. She would tell everyone I raped her.
Jesus.
Yeah. Now the thing is, she never pressed charges. She didn't like get the cops involved and carry a mattress around.
Right.
But this was like a small town, so it spread that I'd raped her.
Jesus.
And then so all my friends, and I was like I wasn't like the coolest kid in school, but I was like in the upper echelon, like I guess in the upper half, I guess. And all of a sudden, no one would talk to me. And actually, there was like 3 girls I was friends with that we usually, I'd sit with them and we'd all eat lunch together, type of thing. They're like my entourage. They were all like, "Did you hear so and so got raped?" And I'm like, "No, who?" Like, "Yeah, this is like, oh my god, what happened?" It's like, "You raped her." And I'm like, "What?" Like, "No, I didn't." And this is before I knew she was doing this. But yeah, all these people who knew me, like we were friends. I mean, we weren't like, we wouldn't go out together, but like at school we were friends. And they would either give me dirty looks, walk the other way. Now guys, a couple of like white knight guys, I didn't even know what a white knight was back then. They actually came up and like threatened me and like, "Oh, you heard what you did, I'm gonna kick your ass." And I'm like, "Dude, I swear I didn't do it. She's making it up. She was cheating on me and I dumped her and she's just spreading lies." So I went to her And I actually had to get on my knees and apologize for what I said for her to admit and take back that I had raped her. And she was laughing at me the whole time. She's like, that'll teach you to say that to me. And then, even though she told people, I just made it up, guys, to get back at him, my reputation was destroyed.
Jesus.
So, like, I couldn't, like, I tried dating girls from, like, 2 towns over, and then somehow, like, it would still get back to them. Like, oh, you're dating that guy? I know he raped a girl. Like, even though she admitted she was lying. And charges were never filed or anything. So I ended up having to, like, join the military to, like, get away from my whole town because my reputation was completely destroyed for the whole Tri-County area.
Wow.
So, yeah, whenever I hear, like, a guy accused of rape, I always give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Like, unless, like, audio-visual evidence, she's lying. Just by default, I'm like, she's lying. She's a woman. They all lie.
Yeah. That's I think it's become pretty popular, at least in our circles, to say that. To say, hey, if a woman cries rape, we tend not to believe them at the outset.
It's like, here's the thing. Like, the stereotypical rape is like, you know, guy has a knife to your throat. He's like, you know, choking you. He's punching you in the face. He's telling you he'll kill you if you don't let him have sex with you.
Mm-hmm.
And those types of rapes leave evidence.
Yeah. You
have finger marks on your neck. You have black eyes. You have something.
You got skin under your fingernails if you're the girl.
Yeah, you were struggling, so you were scratching him, and you got his DNA under your fingernails.
Yeah.
But when there's no evidence, like, you clearly didn't struggle at all.
Yeah.
It's, you know, then, and especially if, like, it's the guy you were dating, and then there's, like, you're having ongoing conversations with him after the supposed rape.
Yeah.
Like, hey, when we see each other again, like, yeah, you like when I raped you? Let's do that again. Like, it's clear it's making, and a lot of it is just like, if you don't give me what I want, or if you dump me, I'm going to tell, you know, and that's the power of listen and believe.
Yeah, that's the power of gynocentrism.
Yeah. It's fucked up.
So anyway, this continuing with your story, this is all part of how you kind of, I don't know, I guess came to MGTOW?
Well, it's because, I mean, MGTOW wasn't like a massive revelation. Like, oh my God. Like, it's so, I never knew. Right. Like, it's all stuff that I knew. Like, but it's weird when I knew women were crazy because my mom was crazy. And my half-sister was crazy, and my grandma was crazy, but I thought it was just my family.
Right.
So I was like, oh, you know, like, I just got to get away from my family. I got to find a nice girl that's not anything like my family. And then as I would date different girls, and they were just as manipulative, just as fucked up, I was like, I thought for the longest time that I had like an Oedipus complex, right, that I was attracted to women like my mother, because all the women I dated were just as manipulative and selfish and narcissistic as my mother. And, like, it was fucked up. Oh, and I got to tell you about my grandma. I think I told you about this in private. But
yeah.
So I was in the Navy. I come back home, visit my family. And, and they still remembered, too. So I never visited home again. But I was stationed on the East Coast, and for that year, they were giving, like, basically if you were in the military, you got to go to Disney World for free. Because it was, like, you know, it was, like, shortly after 9/11, when everyone was rah-rah military.
Right.
So they were giving away a whole bunch of stuff. So I decided to treat my grandma to Disney World. So she flew out. We went to Florida. And the thing is, I told her, you know, these tickets are free. I have enough money for, you know, half the hotel. I think I paid for the whole hotel. I just told her, I can't pay for your meals. Right. I have enough money for the hotel, and I'll pay for my meals, and the tickets are free, but you need to pay for your own meals. And she originally said yes. And when we flew out there, every time we went to eat, she would, like, start guilt-tripping me about how her money was so tight, and she didn't know how she was going to pay the bills. And then every time she actually opened up her wallet and paid for her meal, she's like, I guess I'll have to put it on the credit card because I just don't have any money. I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I ended up paying for a couple of her meals, but I was really telling her, like, I really don't have enough money to pay for your meals and my meals. You know, I budget this out very strictly. I'm not, you know, I'm just like a low-ranking, I think I was like an E3 at the time. I didn't make that much. So anyway, it was supposed to be like a 4-day kind of thing where I hit all the little Disney World parks. So we ended up going to a flea market down in Orlando. So me and my grandma were just walking around the flea market, and she decides to buy a $250 set of luggage. Mm-hmm. oh, yeah, I really need this luggage. And she buys it. And she's like, oh, yeah, I see it. And I'm like, how much did that cost? She's like, oh, it's so cheap. It was only $250. And I don't know if she's like, she just went senile and forgot that she was guilting me into paying for her meals for the last several days. So I was like, you made me pay for your meal this entire trip, and then you just dropped $250 on a set of luggage. And then you can see the look on her face. She was like, oh yeah, I was playing you. I forgot that, I was playing my own grandson.
Jesus.
So
you actually said that to her?
Well, I looked at her face. I didn't say it. What I said to her was, you're going in a home. Don't even bother coming to me to take care of you when you become invalid.
Right.
And I'm like, and if you forget why, I'll remind you of this day when you come to me and like, oh, I'm poor, I need you to take care of me. I'm like, you're going to the home, Grandma, and it's because the day you played me to pay for your meals and then bought $250 worth of luggage when I didn't have the money to spend.
Right.
Yeah. So that was my grandma. That was the woman who took me in when my mother abandoned me, and then even she manipulated me. So that was that. So I dated other girls, and I was like, man, they're all crazy, they're all selfish, they're all narcissistic. And I didn't really... MGTOW was just... It was confirmation I wasn't crazy, because I legitimately thought I had a mental problem where I was, like, deliberately attracted to crazy women because my mom messed me up or something. So I'm like, I just must have some weird attraction to crazy women, and it's, like, my fault. Like, I just... The thought of that all women are like that it's not just my family, it's not just the women I've dated, it's all women. It just didn't. I guess I kind of suspected it, but I didn't want to believe it.
Right.
So I went through the 5 stages of grief, and this is before I even knew about MGTOW. Actually, I discovered MGTOW in one of the last stages. So I tried when I was in the bargaining stage. This is where I got creative, and this is like when you were talking to Sandman. He was talking about the guys in the bargaining phase trying to figure out where the NAWALTs are.
Right.
So my theory was, because I didn't understand, hypergamy or any of that, but my theory was, okay, the reason, all my girlfriends always cheated on me too. That's the other thing. So I'm like, okay, so the reason why these girls cheat on me is because my standards are too high, because I was always dating, like, attractive girls. So I'm like, all right, if I lower my standard and date a girl that's not attractive, then she won't have any better options. Because what happened was these girls, and I'm sure every guy out here can sympathize with it. So you're going out with a girl, and the whole time she's dating you, she's going out with her quote-unquote friends to have a girls' night out, but she's actually, like, giving her number out, meeting guys. She's looking for a better deal than you. And as soon as she finds a better deal than you, she dumps you to go with that guy, and then the cycle begins again. So it's like she's never with you. She's like, you're just the layover while she's looking for someone better than you in some way. And then, like, I learned the hard way, never take them back, because they would always come back in, like, 2 weeks. They would leave me for some other guy, and then they would come back 2 weeks later, beg me to take them back. And I took back one girl, and she did it again, like, immediately. It was like, oh, cool, I could keep doing this. I have this safe space to fall when it doesn't work out, so I could just ride the cocks all day long, and I'll just go back to him in between.
Right.
So, never do that, guys. Never take him back. Once a cheat, always a cheat.
Yeah. I would have to agree with you on that one.
Oh, man. See, now I lost my train of thought.
No, it's all right. I know where you're going. As far as swallowing the pill or coming to MGTOW.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm back on the rails.
Okay.
So, anyway, my master plan was I'm going to lower my standard. I'm going to date a girl that's beneath me, like really far beneath me, so that she would appreciate me and be loyal to me and wouldn't try to look for someone better than me, because she would recognize that I am literally, like, the best thing she'll ever get. Like, there's no way in hell she'll do better than me. Right. So I found this girl. Now, she was fat. And when I mean fat, like, when I met her, she waddled. She was that fat. But she had a pretty face, because I didn't want ugly kids. The girls with the butter face where they got, like, a rockin' body, but they got, like, a face like Gollum from Lord of the Rings.
Right.
I want my kids to inherit that. Like, the doggy-style sex isn't worth it. So I was fine. I was fine, porking a fatty, as long as she had, like, I could tell by her face and everything like that she had good genes. She had healthy-looking skin and everything. Because, kids don't inherit fat. born like, oh, my mom's fat, so I'm going to be born like a butterball turkey. So I was fine with that. So I dated this girl who was fat, and a lot of fat people, and I sympathize with fat people because a lot of times they do just have emotional problems, and that's why they're so fat. It's not like they're addicted to, cake. It's actually they just have emotional problems, and they overeat on purpose. Like, they're not even enjoying the food. They're just trying to, like, medicate their pain.
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing with this girl is, by being with her, I made her feel better about herself, and because I legitimately wanted to be happy. I just wanted someone who wouldn't abandon me. I was so tired of being cheated on and abandoned by every woman and manipulated by every woman in my life. I just wanted someone, like, I will date a 2 if you will just not abandon me and not manipulate me and not leave me.
Right. I think a lot of guys kind of share that sentiment, actually.
Yeah, like, I don't, like, anyway. So long story short, she starts to lose weight. And guess what happened?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so she cheated on me. As soon as she started to lose weight and she started to get attention, because the thing is she was been fat her whole life. Right. And then she started to deal with her. I helped her deal with her emotional problems because I loved her. And I started to heal her pain, and she was like super loyal for a while. But then when the weight started to come off because she started working through her problems, started feeling better about herself, she started to get attention from other guys. And she's never had that before. Like, when we first started dating, she was, like, clinging to me. Like, she was afraid if she let go of me, she would wake up and I wouldn't be there, type of thing, which is what I wanted. But then when she started to lose weight, because I could see, like that movie She's All That, where, like, there's the nerdy girl, and then when she cleans up, she looks hot. Yes. Like, I could see there was a hot girl under that fat. Like, she's wearing, like, a quilt. There's, like, a hot girl dressed in a quilt. Yeah. So I saw that in her, that potential. And then when that potential started to come out, and she started to get all this attention from guys, she started to get that, like, oh, what have I been missing? And then, I don't know, I fucking don't know. Yeah, so then I caught her, like, going on dating sites, and guys sending her dick pics, and like, sending her their address.
Beautiful.
And I was like, fuck out. Like, that was like, that's where I put all my chips into that. Like, all right, I'm going to, like, I can't find a NAWALT, so I'm going to, like, manufacture one. I'm going to find this 2, and I'm good to her, and she's going to be in NAWALT because she has no other choice. Like, it's like me or nobody. Yeah. But then, then she started to lose weight, and then she turned into all the rest. So then I was in my depression stage. That's when I just said, okay, if that didn't work, that was my silver bullet master plan, and that didn't work. So I was like, fuck it, I'm done. Right. So I was basically just depressed, and I was kind of like giving up. Like, I guess that's it. I guess I'm done. And then what happened was, the way I discovered MGTOW is a very roundabout way. So I was a libertarian activist, and I discovered a YouTuber named That Guy T, who's like an anti-feminist. He's loosely associated with Sargon of Akkad. He's part of that group, the Rationalists. Okay. So, yeah, so he's like a libertarian guy. So he did this video on gun rights, which I got linked to me, so I checked him out. But then he's also an anti-feminist. So I discovered him through my libertarian stuff, and then I saw his anti-feminist stuff, and then I discovered Sargon. And then when I was checking out Sargon stuff, I saw Sandman stuff. And then when I was watching Sandman stuff, just hearing about hypergamy, gynocentrism, the way women use men, the way they just see you as utility, the way they cheat on you. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not alone. Yeah. That awakening moment. It's not just me. But it wasn't like, oh, women are like that. I had no idea. Because I knew women were like that. It was just, I felt like maybe there's something wrong with my area. Because I had that thing that, how these guys, like, I'm just going to go east and I'm going to get, like, an Asian girl. I had thoughts. I thought, like, I'm going to go get an Asian girl. And, like, one of my favorite porn stars is Asian.
Who is that? Which one is that?
Her name's Maria Ozawa.
Oh, yeah, I know who that is.
Yeah.
Isn't she half Japanese, half American?
She's half Japanese. She's half something in Europe. Some white. I think.
Okay. French, I think.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, she's mixed. But yeah, man, she is smoking hot. But dirty as hell.
Yes. So basically, what you're saying now is that, you know, through the story you're telling, it sort of led up to a moment where you were exposed to, obviously, the community here on YouTube, and started watching these videos where that moment came. And I love this moment the best for men is, hey, I'm not alone. Right?
Yeah, it was more about affirmation than new information. Like, there are some people, especially like I hear the younger guys who comment on my videos who are like, "Oh my God, you opened my eyes." You know, man, it's so much truth and you know, blah blah blah, and that's great. But you know, my experience was more just a confirmation that I wasn't crazy, I wasn't alone, and it was a little depressing because I had that faint hope in the back of my mind that. I don't know, maybe I find someone. There's someone out there. There's someone out there for everyone. Plenty of fish, type of thing.
Right.
And then, you know, as I started watching MGTOW videos, and I saw that it wasn't just my experiences. It was this guy's and this guy's. People in America, people in Canada, people in Australia, people in Europe, people in Indonesia. It was everyone. Like, this is how women are. Period. This isn't, you know, because of. You know, feminism, because you got countries where there isn't any feminism, or feminism isn't even that significant, and they're all like that.
Yes.
And I've seen people on my channel who live in like Muslim countries, very traditional, and the women are like that. It's just women are like that.
Yes.
So,
yes, indeed. Well,
so there's that. Oh, go ahead.
Well, this is good. I like this story, man. You know, it's always interesting to hear, you know, people, like, as you called it, an affirmation. More than anything, and I think where I want to go next is, usually when I do these, I kind of go through the person's videos to kind of see the topics they've addressed, but I didn't really have to do that with you because I'm always watching your videos anyway. But before I get into some of the topics, I just want to ask a little bit about your channel now. How many subscribers are you up to now?
I'm coming up on 6,000.
Nice.
Like, and I was going to do a collab, kind of like, you know, my Allegory of the Cave video that I collabed with Marcus from the Groundwork for the Metaphysics of MGTOW.
Yes.
So my next collab, I want to do it for my 6,000 sub special. I'm collabing with Sexy MGTOW.
Cool.
But I'm still waiting on his stuff so I could, like, do my stuff. I don't know if it's going to be out by the time I hit 6,000.
Oh, okay, I see.
So that's the downside of doing a collab, is because you got two different people's schedules.
Yeah, right.
So my next, I like to do something special.
Well, you hit that mark real quick. Like, when did you start?
I started on Martin Luther King Day in January. So I think it was January 19th was when I made my first video.
Wow. Yeah, you peaked pretty fast there, man.
Yeah, no, I was shocked. Like, when I first decided to make videos, I was thinking, I don't know, I wasn't expecting that much. I was hoping, what my idea was, because my mantra in life is be in control of your own life, function at your highest capacity, and achieve your dreams. So if I'm going to do something, I want to do it so that I could be proud of it. So I wasn't going to half-ass it. So I told myself, I'm going to do this for 6 months, and I'm going to see what happens. If I have, like, 500 subs or something like that, then I'll keep doing it. So I was like, my goal was like 500 subs in 6 months. So I was gonna, like, okay, so I'm gonna make good videos. I'm gonna make the videos that I like to watch, because I mean, the guys who just, like, you know, they have the webcam and it's like the audio's terrible. If they have something to say, I'll still listen to them. But I really prefer the videos that have the high production value.
Yeah.
So I try to do that with my videos. I try to make videos that I would enjoy watching myself. So that's what I do, or I try to. But I was just expecting, you know, a trickle.
Yeah.
But what's really amazing was, so I made my first video, the 3 Kinds of Feminists, the part 1, and I sent a link to Raging Golden Eagle and Bernard Chapin and Sandman. So Sandman ignored me for like a while, like a couple weeks, until I got big enough, and then I guess I earned his viewership.
Right.
But Raging Golden Eagle, he plugged my video the very next day. So I sent him a link to the video. It's like, hey, I'm a new channel. Here's my first video. Tell me what you think. And the next day, he made a video plugging my channel, saying, hey, I just watched this video. It's really great. Check it out. And I had 150 subscribers in my first 24 hours. And I made like a thank you video about that.
Awesome.
And then, yeah, so it was... And then Sandman plugged my videos like a week or so later. And then I got like 700 subs that day.
Yeah.
When Sandman plugged my video. And then a little bit later, Truth Over Everything plugged my video. So in my first month, I had 1,500 subs.
Yeah.
In January 19th to February 19th, I had 1,500 subs, which like blew my mind because there's so many great channels that I was subbed to that didn't even have 1,000.
Yeah, I was right there watching it happen, man. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But I'd like to add something. I mean, I agree with you, trying to make good quality videos because, I mean, obviously that's going to grab a person's attention, and if you have a message you want to be heard, it's important. But also the content, I think, is important. And your content is very valuable, I think. It hits home. It's very easy to understand and take in. And in my opinion, I think that's a big part of how your success came about. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people would agree with me. So I think what I want to do now is let's kind of I want to go back to some of the issues that we were discussing the other day in private, because you had a lot of cool stuff to say, and some of these issues I'm sure have been discussed in the content you've provided already up till now. But one of the things, and going back again to your story, and how NAWALT or AWALT was mentioned, I want to get into that because I remember last time we were speaking. I asked you wholeheartedly, like, give me an argument for AWALT, right? Because like I mentioned before, if you criticize women and their, personality or behavior to a woman, that woman will flat out say, I'm not like those other women. And
of course.
Pretty much all women will do that. So why don't you go ahead and rehash that for me, what we were talking about with the NAWALT.
That's the problem is, like, I remember the conversation, but I actually don't remember what I said.
That's all right.
Because my thoughts are, like, once they're out of my mouth, that's it. And if they're not recorded in some way, they may never be seen.
That's all right. Let's just hear your opinion now, man.
Like a hint of what I was talking about. I'll probably remember, but I just don't remember exactly. I'm sure it was profound. I just don't remember it.
Well, we were just. I mean, it was loose too for me. I mean, I don't remember everything you said either. But it was an interesting conversation, talking about. I remember. Put this in your mind. Trying to argue that yes, all women are like that. How would you argue that to, say, a woman or someone that doesn't believe it?
Well, I mean, the main thing is women will admit that they are like that if you just reframe the question. Because for my She'll Never Love You video, I've had several women. For some reason, more women comment on my first video, my old one, like the one that has really terrible sound quality, rather than the remake. So I don't know why. It's just been passed around, whatever. So I get women coming to that video and commenting on it. And there was one woman who, she basically was like, "Oh, that's not true. I love my husband," or I think she said she was married or had a boyfriend, and so it's not true. So I asked her, "Okay, do you have a different definition of love? I think I asked her if she had children, or if she had. I think she did. She said she didn't have children. I'm like, imagine you have children. Would you love your husband differently than your children?" And she's like, "Of course. Like, do you love your husband differently than your family?" And she's like, "Yes." I'm like, "Okay. Is there anything your children can do to make you not love them?" And she's like, "No." And I'm like, "What? Is there anything your husband could do to make you love him?" I'm like, "Well, sure, if he did this, this, this." I'm like, "Okay." That's what I'm talking about. Women have various definitions of love, and they're all subjective to the utility of the relationship.
Right.
So they have all these different definitions of love. Now, one can argue whether that's better or worse. I've actually had a woman who told me that loving an adult in that selfish way where they have to earn it, and if they no longer are worthy of it, you don't love them anymore. That's how adults love. And if you love someone unconditionally, that just means you're immature. So that's women blaming men for their own hypergamy and selfishness and self-centeredness. So in their mind, they know that men, because men love women pretty much the same way as they love people in general, including their children. Obviously, you don't molest your children or have sex with them, but I'm saying like that way, like when you think of love, like when a man who has children loves his children, loves his wife, or loves his girlfriend, the love is the same in all those relationships. A man doesn't have different definitions for that love.
Yeah.
In fact, if you just think about it, it's pretty universal. When a man loves someone, whether they're family, whether they're their children, whether they're their mate, whether that's a girlfriend or a wife or whatever, the love is the same. A man pretty much has one definition for love.
Yeah.
Woman has all these different definitions of love that are completely different. Like one is unconditional, one is conditional, one is this, one is that. And they don't understand that men are different.
Yeah.
And that's why you see a lot of like when women and especially feminists talk about, objectification, because they're projecting how they think onto men.
Yes.
Because they don't see men as utilities that they can exploit. So when they see a man looking at a woman, they project that onto them, like, oh, you just want to have sex with her. Well, no, maybe I just am appreciating her beauty. I don't even want to talk to her. I'm not going to cheat on you or something,
Yeah.
But they'll project their natures onto men, but men do it too, like with the nice guys. A man wants a woman who's a helper, a companion, who's loyal, all that stuff. So these nice guys they don't understand that women are different. So they will project, because I, as a man, want those things in a woman. I will be those things for a woman, and she will be attracted to me because of that. And it doesn't work, because men and women are different. And that's the problem, is this gynocentric feminist culture. Men and women simply aren't taught men and women are different. Like, we're taught about, like, anatomy. Like, the girls have vaginas, boys have penises, whatever. When it comes to just, like, how our brains work, how attraction works, how relationships work, we're just kind of like left in the fog, and we're just left to figure it out. And if you have hopefully you have like a father figure that can sit you down and tell you how women are. But I didn't. I was raised by a single mom and a grandma.
Well, I would argue that even if you did, I doubt that would come up as a topic.
Well, yeah, true. Like my dad, he was so whipped, he was no help.
Yeah.
So and that's the thing. Like, assuming you have some kind of father figure, they're like your only hope.
Yeah.
So, I don't... And the thing is, I'm not mad. Like, I went through my red pill rage stage where I was mad at women for using me and exploiting me. But then it's like, that's just what they are. That's what women do. It's what they are. Like, I can't be mad at a mosquito for sucking my blood. It's what they do. Mosquitoes suck blood.
Yeah.
So I can't hate mosquitoes for being what they are, but I can protect myself from mosquitoes. Yeah. And you'd be warned, like, hey, there's mosquitoes, put on some DEET or whatever and protect yourself. So I'm more mad at our culture and society that basically purposefully blinds men. Like, not only do we not teach men the truth, we teach them lies to make them more vulnerable to women.
Yeah, exactly.
We turn them into manginas and white knights and basically set them up. We don't even let them go out with a clean slate and discover the world on their own. We set them up to fail. We tell them lies so that they trust women when they shouldn't, because they're taught that they're the nurturers and they're the lovers and the carers. And then when they're used and destroyed, then like, oh, by the way, all that stuff was bullshit. But now your life is destroyed. Enjoy being a wage slave. Yeah, yeah. So I'm more mad at that. I'm mad at that system that's been erected that facilitates the exploitation of men. It just sets them up.
When you mentioned the mosquito, it reminded me the other day, my son came up to me and he goes, "Dad, did you know that it's only the female mosquito that sucks your blood?" And I sort of kind of winked at him and said, "Dick, yeah, you're starting to catch on a little bit here, kid."
Well, like the praying mantis, the female is bigger than the male, and the same thing with the black widow. Mm-hmm. And I think it was Captain Nemo, posted this thing on Google Plus, and I commented on it. with sexual dimorphism, because I've been looking into that because of my last video. When you have a species where the sexual dimorphism favors the male, where the male is bigger, stronger, and smarter, then you have like a patriarchy or a tournament reproductive system where the man competes and acquires large amounts of females and impregnates them all. If you have little or no sexual dimorphism, then you have pair bonding or gynocentrism, where the males bring the females gifts. And you have lots of males competing for the female, but they don't compete against each other. They're just competing by trying. Basically, the woman's a prostitute for these males. The males, like birds especially, like they build these elaborate gifts for the woman in order to. So that's where you have very little sexual dimorphism. Then, when you have sexual dimorphism that favors the female, where the female is bigger and stronger and smarter, the males get eaten by the female. So it's like, here we have patriarchy where dimorphism favors the male. We have gynocentrism where there is no dimorphism favoring the male. But then when the dimorphism favors the female, the men get their heads eaten, or they get their fluids sucked out through their fangs.
Yeah.
So it's like, it really shows you, like, if you look at the male and the female, which one is like, if you could make a moral judgment, which gender is evil? Would it be the one that devours the head of their mates and demands gifts when things, because you would think that in a system with no sexual dimorphism where men and women are just as tall, just as strong, just as smart, that you would have an equal society. But you don't. You have a gynocentric one.
Yeah.
It's only when the man has the dominance that and when you have a patriarchy, and even then, even in a patriarchal system where you have tournament selection, the man is still providing for the woman. He just kind of like, he also owns her and has sex with her whenever he wants, and she doesn't have any say in it. So he gets something out of it. But actually, a patriarchy is the closest thing to equality. Yeah. Because the man's exploiting the woman for her body and for reproduction, but the woman is still like getting compensated for it with protection and provision.
Yes. You know what? And I'm glad you mentioned that because I recently did a talk with JGG, and he had some interesting takes on patriarchy. And let me know what you think of this. He mentioned about how the patriarchy is actually beneficial for women because under a patriarchy, women have very little responsibility, and they're prized for being just women. In fact, gynocentrism thrives within a patriarchy. I mean, what do you think of that?
Well, yeah, and I talk about this with my traditionalism cycle. The gynocentrism comes out right after a patriarchy, and it's two ways. One is the male population is rising, and so there's less females to go around. But then you also have, because women are basically trained to have no responsibility under a patriarchy. So as the society becomes more gynocentric, men are still required to be responsible. Even though women are given more protections by the government or by the society, they never take responsibility. They're never expected to. And that you never have to take responsibility starts at patriarchy. Because when you're under the patriarchy, you're an object. I own you. Spread your legs. I'm coming in dry. And then when you move to gynocentrism, she's still not expected to take any responsibility because she's just a poor widow woman. Right. And she needs a big, strong man to take care of her. And then when that becomes feminism, she's still a poor widow woman who needs a big, strong government to take the mean men away. Yeah. So at no point does the woman take responsibility until she bites her head off. Like when you, and then that's the thing, when you have the sexual dimorphism that favors the female, she's eating people. She's eating her own species. Like that's what you get with a matriarchy. You get cannibalism. And this is kind of like, Sexy MGTOW gets a lot of crap where he's talking about, women, aren't human and women choose extinction and stuff like that. And I think he just chooses hyperbolic language. Yeah. But, when you just look at the way sexual dimorphism, even when a male is dominant, he's bigger, stronger, and smarter than the woman, he still takes care of her. But when the woman is bigger, stronger, and smarter than the man, she eats him. Yeah. Not figuratively, not poetically. She literally devours his body.
Oh shit! Yeah, that concept is grim when you look at it in that light. Sexual dimorphism, and in fact, that topic of sexual dimorphism is a very that is a really good talking point in our community, I think, and it's something that I was introduced to after I had come into this community.
Yeah, a lot of the things in my videos, a lot of them are based on ideas that I've already had and have already kind of worked out in my own mind, and some of it is kind of flavored with economics, because that's what I didn't major in, I minored in it. So I majored in business and I minored in economics. Mm-hmm. But economics is a really fascinating kind of science, because it melds behavior with numbers. Right. Because here's the thing, like, economics is mostly about kind of measuring behavior and things that influence behavior in humanity. So if you understand human nature and human behavior, and you can do basic arithmetic, economics is super easy. Because, and the thing about economics is measuring how people spend their money really shows what they care about. Because you think like politics, you may hate both parties, but you may still vote. You'll vote for the lesser of two evils. Right. Because you're like, hey, I hate you both, but this guy I hate slightly less, or this person I think is going to screw my life up slightly less than this guy, so I'll vote for him. Mm-hmm. But you're not going to send any money to either candidate. Even the guy you vote for, you're not sending him a penny, because you still hate him. You're just going to vote for him because it's a lesser of two evils, and that's how our system works. But if you were to send money to him, that really says that you believe in his message. So what you spend your money on really shows you what your real values are. Because someone could call you up and ask you to take a survey, and you could lie. Yeah. But where you spend your money, how you spend your money, that's what really shows what you care about. So when you look at economics and how people spend their money, things really make sense. And when you understand human nature, it's like a feedback loop. Mm-hmm. You understand human nature, and it helps you understand economics, and then economics helps you understand human nature, and it kind of just feeds into itself again. So some of it was kind of stuff I've experienced and learned and kind of postulated in my own mind. Some of it was flavored with economics. But then, I discovered MGTOW.
Well, actually, I'm glad you went into the economics, because that was something I was going to ask you anyway, because you've made a few videos about it, and they're quite popular as well. How would you relate it? Let's try and keep it in this vein. How would you relate it, let's say, to the dynamics between the relationship of men and women?
Well, women are the consumers and men are the producers. If you look at the demographic breakdown of pretty much any spending pattern, and you look at what's being spent on what, women are always provided for. It's always, basically, women direct the consumer culture. Mm. And what's funny, well, it's not funny, it's really sad. The United States economy, because we don't produce a lot, there's different phases of an economy. Let me back up a little bit. All right, so the lowest phase of an economy is a subsistence agriculture economy. This is like hunter-gatherer. You basically fish, and you have like a small crop that you eat all of the food from, and that's all you eat. So everyone kind of, they get what they can, and maybe if they have a little extra, they'll trade with each other. So that's a subsistence agriculture economy. Very, very bad. Mm-hmm. So you eventually evolve from that economy to an agricultural economy. This is when you become primarily farms. So you see this going on in a lot of countries. This is almost like what defines a second world country, I guess. Right. When you have a lot of farming going on. So now a lot of grains are being produced, a lot of crops are being produced, maybe there's a lot of mining. Basically, when you start natural resources, it goes from subsistence to natural resources. So grains, food, rock, stuff like that, mm-hmm. and trading for things. Now, what a poor economy does is they trade with a more advanced economy. They trade there because they have cheaper labor in the poorer countries. They have labor and natural resources. What they lack is capital and technology. So the poor countries trade their labor and resources to the rich countries who have capital and technology. Now, what's good is the poor countries really benefit because they don't have to go through all the steps. Like if you see in the United States, when we invented the telephone, we had to put up these expensive phone lines, and they were all with copper, and then we got to do this, and we got to change the wiring, and now we got cell phones. But now the whole world benefits from all of our advancements. So now they can go straight to cell phones. Right. They don't need to go through all the steps that we had to. So it's actually better to kind of let everything kind of ride, because the rising tide raises all boats. Not at the same rate. That's a big thing with class warfare, is people don't understand that, yes, the rich are getting richer, and they're getting more rich than you are, but you're still getting richer. Yeah. Like, a person in poverty in the United States has a higher standard of living than someone who was in the middle class 50 years ago.
Yes.
And they have a higher standard of living than someone who was rich 100 years ago.
Yes.
So they don't appreciate that their life is objectively better because they see the rich person getting a lot more rich and they're not getting that much more rich. But the rich person is making their life better because all this technology that's improving their standard of living came from capital investment by rich people. I don't see a lot of poor people investing in companies. So, and all these companies came about and invented all these things because rich people invested in them. So all this like class warfare, all it does, and you see this with like socialist countries like Venezuela, they go socialist to make everything fair, and then there's no food and no toilet paper for anyone.
Right.
Like, oh, this is so much better. Like, now we're all miserable. But they would have been better off. It's all about envy. It's all about like subjectivity. That's really what defines the classes. You know, it's like, I'm miserable because I'm not as rich as you. Yeah, but you're better off than, you know, this person. Like, oh, I don't care, but I want to be as good as you. And then what really pisses me off, and I like, well, let me just say this and I'll stop talking about it,
Okay.
is the people who think that they deserve a piece of the pie that they had nothing to do with.
Right. Right.
Like these millennial college kids who come out and they see this rich guy who risked his money, took a chance, built a business, and they just come out there and they're like, I deserve a piece of that pie. Like, you didn't do shit. You don't deserve shit.
Yeah.
Go build the business. Don't come up to someone who did all the work, took all the risk, made the investments, is working probably 60 to 80-hour weeks to keep his business running, and then you show up and pick your ass and you think that, like, you deserve more money, you deserve a piece of the pie because you showed up.
Yeah, that's you know, what religion calls it coveting, I suppose, and it seems to be the trend among our feminists and social justice warrior camps.
Well, it's the millennial generation. You know, the whole self-esteem movement. You know, everyone gets a trophy. You're all special snowflakes.
Yeah.
And then they grow, and then they're told you could be anything you want when you grow up, and that's a lie. Like, these parents lie to their kids, and then they grow up and they realize they can't do everything they want. That, you know, not everybody's a winner. You don't get a trophy for showing up, and they don't. It's like they'd rather be mad and just be pissed off rather than like accept reality and do something about it. It's kind of like a fat person, you know, like they know they're fat, they know they're not happy about it, but it's too hard to change.
Right.
Change is hard, discipline is hard, self-control is hard. So I'm just going to complain about people who call me fat, and I'm going to try to get laws passed to make it illegal to call me fat, because that's going to make me healthy. That's going to make my life better. People just stop making fun of me for being fat, my life would be better, instead of just losing weight.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't need a doctor, you need a treadmill.
Yeah. You don't need you don't need a magic marker and a bunch of hate to deface public property.
You know, instead of picketing, you should be like walking on a stair climber, and that would do a lot more for your life than walking up. And they don't even walk; they just stand. Like, you see a lot of these pictures of these fat shaming people. They're just standing. They took a rat player.
Oh God!
They got to conserve their energy. They got a big day of watching TV in front of them.
Let's move from there, but in a similar direction. And I want to bring this up to you because this, I guess, is current affairs that's been happening recently, and I am talking about Neomasculinity, which came from the mouths of the likes of, well, who was it? It was Peter dude from and Roosh V, yeah, and whatever. What is it? Alex Jones channel, whatever the fuck that is.
No, I think it's Prison Planet, which I don't follow Alex Jones, like his whole conspiracy stuff.
Yeah, me either. But I want to get your opinion on this neo-masculine, especially as Roosh V has come forward. And it's funny because I saw it, I kind of ignored it, I made a few comments. I don't have any plans to make a video on the subject, but a lot of people are. And I did go and watch some of what Roosh V was saying, and wow, man, I mean, MGTOW just doesn't have friends anywhere.
Well, you got to, No Holds Barred did a kind of I don't know if it was a response video, it was more of an analysis. Mm-hmm. He basically broke down Roosh V's video. And I've heard Rush V spoken about, but I've never actually listened to him speak or read any of his stuff. But I was watching that No Holds Barred video, and
I saw it too.
He's a traditionalist, and he's in a PUA. And all I could think of, it's Manhood Academy. So, I feel bad for Manhood Academy because now they're getting their shit copied by Rush V. Because that was their shtick. Their whole shtick was they were like, because they came from the PUA community, but they kind of like had like a traditionalist thing. We're talking about traditional gender roles and keeping your bitch in check type of thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, and think about Manhood Academy, because I was like, before I discovered MGTOW, I dabbled in Manhood Academy. And a lot of people don't understand their function. Their function is to kind of like turn people, give people confidence. And it's kind of like that opening scene from Full Metal Jacket, where you got to break them down before you can build them up. And that's why that guy, the professor, that's why he talks the way he does. That's why he calls everybody the names. It's to weed out the people who, the weak people. Because, if you understand what their purpose is and what he's trying to do, the names don't bother you. It's just like it's a shit test essentially between guys. But a lot of people are like, Manhood Academy called MGTOW faggots, and it's like, yeah, he calls everybody a faggot. He calls his own people faggots like all the time. Like it's just how he talks. But that's his function. But his whole shtick is like teaching these boys, and a lot of these kids are like they need help, but they were raised by single moms. They're like total manginas, and he's basically trying to beat some masculinity into them. Right. But he does it from the prism of traditionalism, and he has like some pickup artist type of stuff. But he even renounces pickup artist. He talks all this shit about pickup artists too. So if we really want to like talk, but when I was watching Rush V's video, I was just thinking of Manhood Academy, and he's talking about like neomasculinity is like this new thing. But Manhood Academy's been around since 2010. And on their website, they say they've been around since 2003, when they started out as like a forum. Right. So they beat Rush V to the punch, like by a decade. Yeah. So if anyone in Manhood Academy is watching, you need to go let Rush V know.
He just rebranded it.
Yeah, he's stealing your shit, Manhood Academy. You got to do something.
Yeah, and I guess I guess it was him. It was Rush V that branded the word, right? The neomasculinism or whatever the hell it was.
Oh, I've heard of different. I mean, there's difference of like meninism.
Oh yeah.
Like this bullshit where the guys wear the fedoras, and it's almost like a parody. Like they're actually really feminists, but they just pretend to be meninists to make fun of men's rights activists. So you never know. But like my thing with Rush V, based on his video, is he sounds like. Did you ever read that? And Neo Unplugged did a video about the original MGTOW manifesto from 10 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know much about that.
Yeah, so basically that was the Rush V kind of era where MGTOW was started by these traditionalists. Their goals, the original MGTOW 1.0, was about traditional gender roles, masculine men, feminine women. It was traditionalism. And basically... I asked Barbarossa he had a hangout with a bunch of guys, and I wasn't able to listen in on it. I was at work, but I kind of typed a comment, and I was like, hey, I'll watch the video later if you could answer this. And Barbarossa's response was, ongoing discussion about where these problems are arising from basically gave way to kind of like almost like the epiphany of gynocentrism. And you see gynocentrism, that's like a common word in the manosphere. Even the men's rights activists use gynocentrism. Like I was watching that hangout with you and Skeptor and Goodfella. Yeah. And they were all talking about gynocentrism. So like it's spreading. The word is spreading on gynocentrism. But the thing is when you really look at gynocentrism, you eventually come to the conclusion that traditionalism and feminism are two sides of the same coin. Right. They're both gynocentric. In feminism, the woman wants to exploit men without responsibility. With traditionalism, men are to be exploited, but women also like have sex with you and don't take your children away. So, but men are like in both of those scenarios, the men are exploited. Yes. Either in traditionalism, you live your life to serve this woman and take care of her and protect her and provide for her, and in exchange she'll let you put your penis inside of her vagina once a while, and she pretty please, sugar on tops, pinky promises not to take your children away. And that's traditionalism. So it's a really shitty deal. It's like, I'm going to live my whole life to serve you. I'm going to like give you all my stuff. Even if she doesn't take it in a divorce, I mean, she's living in your home. She's eating your food. She's sitting on your couch. I mean, she basically has half your stuff already. You don't get to do what you want because you have this woman that's going to like dictate what you can do. And this is in a best case scenario. In a best case scenario where you stay happily married, quote unquote, she's still controlling your life. She's going to dictate, oh, you can't follow your dream because, you know, what about the family? You got to take care of me. I can't work. I got nails. I got pretty hair, and I let you put your penis in me. So I'm not getting a job. You need to get 2 jobs. And so that's one form of slavery, and that's traditionalism. And then you have feminism, where they basically just dispense they drop the pretense of the putting the penis in the vagina, and they're just like, no, you're just going to give me all your shit, and I'm going to hate you, and I'm going to give me your shit now. It's just like
they're like a thief, a burglar. They put a gun to your head.
Well, it's, you know, like when the mafia, you know, the whole concept of you buy protection insurance from the mafia. You got like a business, the mafia guy's like, hey, you got a nice little business here. Be ashamed if something happened to it, you know what I'm saying? Why don't you pay me like a few $1,000s, I make sure nobody messes up your business, you know what I'm saying? And if you don't pay them, they like break your knees and smash your windows and shoot your business up and burn it down. They're just extorting money. That's basically traditionalism. The woman's like, hey, you want to put your penis in my vagina? It's just going to cost you half your stuff, but I'll let you put your penis in my vagina.
It's a racket. That's what they call it.
It's a racket. But then feminism is just like the mafia coming in and just robbing you. And just putting a gun in your face and like, open the fucking register. I mean, that's feminism. They just take your shit. They don't even like, they drop the entire pretense of there being any sort of voluntary arrangement. So, but they're real when you really look at it. When you consider gynocentrism, traditionalism is just as gynocentric as feminism. All right, you there?
Yep, I'm here. We got it just dropped suddenly. I'm not sure.
No, like I was talking, and all of a sudden I could see my screen, and I was like, "Hello?"
Yeah. You just cut out. The whole thing dropped all of a sudden.
Yeah.
That's okay. We'll just pick it up where we are now. I can piece it together later.
Okay. I don't even, well, I was mid. I don't even remember.
Yeah, we were talking about, we were comparing gynocentrism. Sorry.
Traditionalism. Yeah, because like traditionalism is. Well, if you look at especially modern marriage, especially like. If you just look at marriage itself as an institution, the whole purpose of it, and I talked about this in my last video, the whole purpose of it is to restrain men. It's to punish men so that they don't do any sort of tournament mating.
Right. Because
obviously the man's instincts are to mate with as many women as possible. And when the woman becomes old and her eggs dry up, she's useless to him at that point. I mean, you want to it's basically necrophilia at that point.
Yeah.
So he's going to want to trade her in for, multiple younger models. So marriage was basically created to keep the man from doing that. So through divorce and child support, the man now has a negative incentive to avoid tournament mating. So if I want to mate with 20 women, but if I do that, I'm going to have to pay child support to 20 women and I'll be bankrupt and I'll go to jail. So I don't mate with 20 women. And I want to leave my wife when she gets old and ugly for a younger woman, but I don't want to do that because alimony and child support or whatever will take all my money away. So that's really what marriage does. That's why the laws hurt the man but not the woman. The woman, what does she lose when she gets a divorce? She loses nothing. She usually wins. That's why women throw divorce parties. This whole industry where women throw divorce parties because it's like a happy day. They get their cash in.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I mean, just Google image search divorce party, and you'll see cakes and invitations and women having a great old time. And they're like, yeah, I'm finally divorced, and I took all my husband's money, yay. Now, the revenge, I guess, is when women get old, they become pretty much worthless to everyone. Even society doesn't really care about old ladies as much. But the whole purpose of marriage, like what marriage is, when you really get down to it, is it's a way to kind of facilitate pair bonding in men who don't want to pair bond. To kind of force them into that box. So like there are men who I kind of defined it as low sexual dimorphism, where they're kind of on that end of the scale, where they want to pair bond. They will stay with a woman her whole life. They will love her unconditionally through the wrinkles and the gray hairs. Right. They won't trade her. But there are men who don't. There are men who want to sow their wild oats. So marriage kind of restrains them through punishment to keep them from doing that. And it's to facilitate a civil society, because you can't have men over here doing their thing and then men over here like having sex with all these women and then leaving the kids, and it just creates a bad situation.
Right.
But eventually,
Jesus,
I don't know. It's just,
you know what? I googled divorce party. There's a website called Divorce Party Ideas, your resource for empowering and creative celebrations.
Yeah. You don't see that for men. Men don't have divorce parties. They have like debt consolidation loan parties. Like I finally consolidated my debt. I can eat again.
Jesus, look at this. They got themes, man. Choose a theme based on what is a positive association for the new divorcee. Of course, the woman. There's the theme of survivor, such as a castaway that returns home. Butterfly symbolizes transformation. Lemons. When life hands you lemons, you make lemonade. Naughty girl, for the more wild with sexy costumes and fun sexual themes.
I wonder why that divorce went south, or I wonder why that marriage went south. Naughty girl. Well, and then you see the cakes, like the one cake I used in one of my videos showed a man basically murdered by his wife, and she pushes his dead body down the side of the cake, and there's like a trail of blood leading down the side of the cake. And that's like the divorce party cake. Is the woman murdering her husband and throwing his body down a metaphorical flight of stairs.
Jesus.
And it's like, but they're the gentle sex. They're the caring nurturers that celebrate murdering and destroying their husbands.
Wow.
And then what really pisses me off is prenups do nothing.
No.
Like that was there was a day like, I'm going to do a prenup, and now women can just like, well, he made a verbal agreement that he would tear up the prenup after we got married, and he didn't. And like, sir, did you make a verbal agreement to tear up the prenup? He's like, no, she's making it up. Like, well, it's her word against yours, and we believe vaginas. And then, bang, bang, and now your prenup is gone, and she gets all your money. And like your piece of paper that was notarized, and you pay thousands of dollars to have a lawyer write up, all she has to do is lie in court, and it goes away. So fuck prenup. Like it's pointless. Like the laws are so bullshit.
Yeah, I've heard. I've actually, when you heard that I was talking with Skepta the other day, I've heard him. I've heard well, not just him specifically, but people in those circles. They don't call themselves MGTOW, but we're sort of on the same team in some regards. But I've heard people in those circles, men going, yeah, marriage can be a bad thing, but, there's prenups, right?
Well, the reason why you have men like, I think Goodfella and Skeptor, they'll talk about, I don't want to get married, but then they won't call themselves MGTOW, and there's two reasons for that. One is I was there, where you have that faint hope. Like, you don't want to just say never. You want to hold out, like maybe there's a NAWALT somewhere. Maybe she's out there. Maybe. So they don't want to just throw in the towel and admit that all women are like that. And then also, I think some of it has to do with their channels. Like they think they might, their channels, they might lose subscribers, or they might not grow much if they come out and be like anti-traditionalism. Because that's the thing. Like even because a lot of the waves, like you look at Sargon of Akkad, he has like 100,000 subs. That's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the thing about anti-feminism is it's not anti-traditionalism. So you have these anti-feminist women, like the women who don't need feminism because...
Yes.
And they're all traditionalists. They don't need feminism. They want to marry a nice guy who'll take care of her so she could raise her children and not have to get a job.
Yeah.
So So MGTOW, we come out against traditionalism. So we basically like we've split off from the anti-feminists who are still traditional, especially the female anti-feminists, the whatever they're called. I don't know.
Women against feminism or something like that.
Yeah, the ones with the thing, they just do it for attention.
Yeah.
They're feminists. Like I did a video. It was the one I did with the robot voice about the response to the honey badgers.
Mm.
So only 30% of women identify as a feminist. So they're not a majority. But then when you look at individual legislation that feminists propose, like free birth control for women, women shouldn't have to buy their birth control. The taxpayers should buy their birth control. So that's a big feminist thing, because feminists are all about more free shit for women.
Yeah, less responsibility.
Yeah, less responsibility, more free shit.
Yep.
The government, i.e. men, should pay for it all. That's feminism 101.
Mm-hmm.
So only 30% of women are feminists, but 80% of women supported that.
Yep.
So, yeah, they're like, I'm not a feminist, but give me free shit.
Yeah.
And when it comes to, like, there was another, I gave two examples. The other example was, they took the poll and they asked a question about a paycheck fairness law to help women sue their employers if they're being paid less for, working less and taking 5 years off to raise their kids. Because that's not fair. Just because I take 5 years off to raise a kid and because I work part-time doesn't mean I should get paid less.
Yeah.
So, anyway, like, I think it was 80%. I don't remember the numbers. But again, it was an overwhelming majority of women support feminist laws. And even a majority of men support feminist laws.
Wow.
And meanwhile, 30% of women are feminists, like 15% of men are feminists, but overwhelming, like, clear majorities of men support feminist laws, and overwhelming majorities of women support feminist laws.
Yeah.
So it's not about the label. It's like these women who hold this on, I don't need feminism. Well, of course you don't. You already fucking won.
Yeah.
Like, you have everything. Like, you're basically... And third-wave feminism, this is with the third-wave feminism, because first-wave feminism gave them the right to vote without any responsibilities. Second-wave feminism took away all their duties in a marriage. So now they can fuck around, they can get an abortion, they can whatever, and they get all the cash and prizes. Yeah. So that was second-wave feminism. So now they're basically completely free. They really have jack shit to complain about. But third-wave feminism is just male hatred. It has nothing to do with anything. Yeah. Like equal rights. They have nothing to bitch about. But so now they're just making shit up, talking about wage and rape culture. So these anti-feminist women, they're only complaining about third-wave feminism. They're not going to give up their right to no-fault divorce or their right to vote. They're not going to. They just want to like tone down the male hatred.
Yeah.
So they're not.
They think it'll sell better, to
well, it also gets some attention from men, because the men see these women destroying men's lives, like false rape allegations, all this bullshit, and they're like, oh man, feminism. So then you see these women like, I'm not a feminist, boys, look at me, and they're like, oh, you're not like the other girls. Like, and then they get married, like, oh, by the way, I am like the other girls, give me your money.
Yeah. There's a lot of girls like that, I think, too, that kind of get attracted into the MGTOW community, because it's like we're like to them we're like these sitting ducks.
Well, I have two theories, because I haven't fully figured out Diana Davison yet. Mm-hmm. She says she's anti-relationships. I'm like, I haven't figured out her angle. She's got to have an angle. They all have an angle. But anyway, like when I see these women commenting on MGTOW videos or participating or stuff like that, I think they come in two flavors. One, they're either spies, they're feminists, or they may be anti-feminist women who they're traditionalists, to be sure, and they're just kind of like seeing what the opposition is up to, because we are literally the only movement in the manosphere that's anti-traditionalist. Yeah. The MRAs are pro-traditionalism. Yeah. I was talking to one guy, I think Peter Wright from AVFM. He says not all the MRAs are traditionalists. He says they're trying to diversify, I guess. I'm like, whatever.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, okay. I'll take your word for it, because I don't, whatever. I mean, it's like, at that point, even if they're successful, even if he's right, and I'm not saying he's a liar, but even if like AVFM and the MRAs kind of purge themselves of a lot of the traditionalists and they become more like neutral regarding traditionalism, they're still the Diet Coke of MGTOW at that point.
Yeah.
It's like, why go into the neutral, lukewarm waters of the MRA where you got some traditionalists and some anti-traditionalists? Just go to MGTOW. Don't drink New Coke. Drink Coca-Cola.
Drink the
So,
classic.
yeah, but then you look at the rest of them, like the PUAs are traditionalists. You got Manhood Academy and Neomasculinism, traditionalism. It's all traditionalism.
Yeah.
So they're anti-feminist, they're anti-misandrist, but they're pro-traditionalism. So they're still in that gynocentric sphere.
Yeah. So those are some of the women, but what's the other flavor?
Well, the other ones are just attention whores. They're like just trying, and I don't know, like they're just looking for male attention.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess in their eyes, they have like this open platform within MGTOW, you know.
Well, it's a male space.
Yeah.
So if a woman gets into a male space, she gets all the male attention.
Yeah.
You know, if she's the only woman there, she's like, oh, these are my little men. They're all giving me attention.
Yeah.
And the thing is whatever, what the fuck. But like I've seen when I used to play more video games, and you see girls go onto these like MMOs, these like multiplayer games, like create a character and then try to like flirt with guys and get them to like have cyber sex with them in the game.
Yeah.
And it's just and this is like, World of Warcraft or something like that. Like, I didn't come here to have cyber sex. And Pornhub is just a click away. Why am I going to talk to you when I could watch a woman who's much hotter than you masturbate on a webcam?
Yeah.
I didn't come here. Like, porn is everywhere. Like, you don't need to dress it up. Just go to the porn.
Yeah.
Go west.
Well, not only that, but I think one of the reasons, well, first of all, video games generally is more of a male space than anything else. I mean,
I think it's the same type of girl. The girls who go onto these video games that are popular with men and try to get male attention by creating a character, and they actually spend money. They actually spend the subscription fees to create a character in these games, knowing that men are there in order to get male attention.
Yep.
And so I think that's the other brand. You got the anti-feminist infiltrators who are just kind of spying and keeping tabs on us. And then you have just the attention whores that they're just here to, just fuck around, try to get male attention because that's what they get off with.
Yeah. Oh, I've had some of those women actually admit that to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Straight up admit it.
I understand women. I was raised by women. I've thought long and hard about it. I got a good grip on the female psyche. I can call it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah, man. And it's I try to in now where I'm at after being involved in MGTOW and just kind of growing within it. I find myself being a hell of a lot more honest with women when I communicate with them, and generally they don't like it.
Well, it depends. Like when I don't know. Like I don't have time to chase women anymore. Mm-hmm. My view is okay. Like, do you like hot dogs?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't like hot dogs.
Okay.
I don't like their texture. I don't think they taste that good. I don't think they're that healthy. But if I go somewhere and they're giving away free hot dogs, I'll have 3 of them. So that's the way I kind of treat women. Like I won't say no. Like if I'm out somewhere and some woman like is aggressive towards me, like she'll flirt with me, come up to me, chat me up, I'll smooth talk her, see where that goes. But I'm a total asshole, and I do not make any apologies. And the thing is the girls who are aggressive, they love it. They love it when you're an asshole to them. If you act nervous and you're like, oh, a girl's talking to me, she's gone. It didn't matter how well you're dressed or how big your muscles are. She's gone if you have no confidence. So not giving a shit is actually very attractive to most women.
Yeah.
Now, there are the women who are like looking for something serious. And they're like, I'm not here to mess around. I'm not looking for fun and games. I'm looking for a man. And I'm like, well, you better keep looking because I'm not that guy. And I don't want to lie. I'm like, it doesn't even matter. Like the thing is and what's kind of depressing is once you kind of fully digest the red pill, once you get, because what MGTOW really did for me is it got me from that depression stage of the stages of grief. It got me from the depression to the acceptance.
Right.
And once you get to the acceptance phase, the anger goes away, the depression goes away, but then you just have like this just like this kind of resolve. You're just like, you kind of just accept the world, like this is what it is, and I just got to keep going. But it also takes a lot of like the magic is gone. It's like finding out, because I actually do know some magic tricks, and I used to be really into magic when I was a kid. And then when I found out that it wasn't real, that it was all sleight of hand, it was something was lost. When you learn how a trick is done, a little part of you dies when you find out how the trick is done. Like part of the magic is not knowing how they did it and trying to figure it out, never really knowing. So once the red pill was fully digested and I understood the trick, it no longer worked. And Nico, he mentioned this in a hangout a while ago, that when he has sex with a woman, he has to feel something for her, or it just doesn't feel good. Right. He can't just have anonymous sex with a woman he just met and enjoy the sex. There has to be some sort of emotional connection. And I used to feel that way, but now that like the red pill's been fully digested, it like really, I don't even care. It doesn't feel better or worse than just jerking off. Yeah. And jerking off is just a lot more efficient time-wise, because I can just I can go to Pornhub or RedTube in like 5 minutes, pull up a video, get the poison out, wash my hands, and go back to what I was doing. I don't have to take a shower. I don't have to like put on a suit. I don't have to go and spend $50 on drinks or food to get a girl and drive her to my house, and all this bullshit.
You don't have to keep up a conversation.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't have to like listen about and they don't even have anything important to say. Like, it would be different if I would love to go on dates with women if they actually had engaging conversation. Yeah. But it's like what TV shows they watch. Yeah. What's going on in like the latest season of what the fuck, Grey's Anatomy, or just bullshit. Like they're 50 Shades of Grey. It's all pop culture bullshit. They have nothing substantive to talk about.
Yeah, especially so if you get a couple of them together, just listen to what they talk about.
Oh God, never take. If a girl wants to bring a friend, just fucking call it off.
Yeah, it's mind numbing.
Yeah. I was telling the guy, I was kind of half joking about getting your blowjob up front. Like, go to her house, and when you show up at her house to pick her up, just kind of come to her door and be like, "Hey, can I use your restroom real quick?" And then go in, wash your hands, then come out and be like, "Hey, I washed my dick. Can I get my blowjob up front?" Yeah. And she's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, and she's like, "No, I'm not going to suck your dick." It's like, I washed my dick. Like, I washed it less than 5 minutes ago. She's like, "I don't care. I'm not sucking your dick." I'm like, "You dirty cocksucker!" And then you just walk out the door.
I'd love to try and pull that off.
Yeah. The thing is, some girls, I've had girls where like I'll kind of firmly say, "You're gonna suck my dick right now," and they'll be like, "Fine," and then they'll do it. Like, shit, they did it. They actually sucked my dick on demand. Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, if you insist.
Fine, I'll suck your dick. And this is like before you even spent money on them. Yeah. Because the thing is what's really fucked up is they've already gotten ready. And especially if you're going somewhere expensive, and they're like ready to take like selfies and they're ready to tweet about what they're doing, and they don't want to tell their friends that the date didn't happen, and they also want to go to the restaurants because they know they're going to get a free meal. And I don't mind spending money. I know a lot of MGTOW are like, "Oh, she's going to pay her half." I don't mind paying a whore for her time. Yeah. I just like to know that I'm going to get my money's worth. You can get a prostitute for like $150, so that's like 3 dates. You spend about $50 on her each date. That's $150. So as long as my dick's getting moisturized by the 3rd date, I'm breaking even. If I can get it, I'm ahead. But I don't mind a whore. She works hard for her money. So hard for it, honey. She works hard for her money, so you got to treat her right. Yeah. So I don't mind paying them, but I like to know. I can't remember what I said. It's something about it's like I want to know what I'm getting into. I like to know if she has a gag reflex or if I'm going to feel teeth before I spend money on her. It's just good business. You want to sample the product out before you buy it. Yeah.
Wow. I would have to agree with those concepts. And I don't know about you, but I mean, I'm personally I am not dating. I have no interest in it. I don't know. What about you? Are you sort of in that same boat?
Yeah, no, I don't even look. It kind of finds me because sometimes I'll be out at a bar or restaurant with a client, and I'll just, some girls will just start smiling at me or whatever, and yeah. I mean, they'll know, and I'm a little older. I'm not gonna tell you how old I am.
Okay.
But I'm a little older, so the women, they see you, they see your age, they see you're not wearing a wedding ring, they see you're wearing a suit, they see you're doing business, and they're like, ooh, he's a catch. So yeah, you don't need to look. That's the thing. That's what young men need to be taught. Boys chase girls, but women chase men. When you're young and in your 20s, and this absolutely, yeah. Sorry, I get tongue-tied. This is why I script my videos.
That's all right.
There's male scarcity involved with young girls too. When you have girls under the age of 18, they can only date boys who are also under the age of 18 because boys who are over the age of 18 will go to jail if they date them. Mm-hmm. So that's why high school girls can be very sweet and submissive and demure because they have a very limited range of men. But once they turn 18, that's when they're all about the money and the cock because all of a sudden all these men from the age of 20 to the age of like 90 are all hitting on them. So they have their pick of the litter at that point. But then as they get older, their options start to dwindle. But here's the thing, like young guys in their 20s, and you're seeing these girls, because when I was in high school, again, I told I had like a love triangle between two cheerleaders, and I took the homecoming queen out. So, and then in my 20s, all these girls disappeared. I thought, because I was used to dating really hot girls, and then all of a sudden they were like, you're not dressed good enough, and your car's not fancy enough, and you're not this. So I was like, what the fuck happened? Like, did I, and it wasn't like something happened to me. It was that now that they weren't in high school, they had their pick of the litter from all these men.
Right.
But if you just wait, once they hit their 30s, they start looking. They're like, oh shit, like, my eggs are drying up. My biological clock is ticking. And that's when they start chasing men, especially if you're a quality man, if you have money.
Yeah.
And it's not like I don't advertise it. Like when I go out just to go out, I'll wear, like right now I'm wearing a football jersey and basketball shorts and those slippers that look like shoes, those big puffy slipper shoes.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I don't give a shit. Yeah. I'll go out like this too. But when I'm out for business, I obviously have to dress up because that's, it's the uniform essentially.
Exactly, yeah.
That's when I get the attention. So it is what it is. Women are hypergamous, fuck them.
Yeah, oh yeah. But you're right. I mean, at a certain age, you don't even have to look anymore. It just
they'll chase you. Now here's the thing: if you're fat, ugly, bald, have no money, and it shows, the women aren't going to chase you anyway. Like if that's what you're waiting for, you might as well just give up. But if it's obvious, and especially because I have a good sense of humor, I can charm a woman on a date. I can make her laugh, and it's like wrapped around my finger. Mm-hmm. It's too easy. But then in the back of my mind, it's like you have to know. All right, you can't get involved with this girl. Yeah, she's sweet now, but she's going to use you. She's going to cheat on you. It's going to be the same as it always is.
Yeah.
So you just you get what you got to get, and then you move along.
Yeah. I remember.
And just one bit of advice: always go to her house. Don't show her where you live.
Right.
You go to her house. Don't even give her your real name. Give her a fake name if you can, and then go to her house. Do what you got to do, and then and then move along.
Right.
And if she knows where you live, that's when you get the stalkers.
Ooh, shit, yeah.
So yeah, I had one girl. She was like, I was with a different girl, and she was like calling. It's like, who's this girl? And I'm like, oh shit, she's one of my exes. She's stalking me. She's and so yeah, it's fucked up.
God, that's horrible.
I changed my number, and she still found me. So, but I haven't heard from her in a while. So maybe she found someone. I don't know.
Well, how long ago was that?
It was a few years ago. It was like a girl I dated like shortly after high school.
Oh.
So, but she cheated on me. She cheated on me, and she tried to get back with me afterwards. But I'd already learned my lesson by then. I told her to get lost. She was just stalking me for like years, trying to I don't know what she was waiting for. Like I wasn't going to get back with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, I think what's funny is she got fat again after we broke up. I think that's why is I was like her remedy, and once we broke up because I dumped her, she got fat, and she was like trying to get back with me because she knew I would help her feel better and I would help her lose weight again. But no, you can die in a pool of donuts for all I care.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of going back full circle to where we began with AWALT or NAWALT, and
yeah,
you can't.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say. I was just going to mention that basically, continuing to look for that unicorn is almost a form of mental illness.
Well, here's the thing: like the people who say they have NAWALTs, like there are people like when I did that "Awakened While Married" video, it was kind of just I didn't like how these guys were being like demeaned and basically told that they can never be part of the community because I care about them. I want to improve their lives, but then I think some people misread the video. Because I had people commenting saying, "Oh yeah, I'm happily married to my NAWALT wife," and I'm like, "No, dude, get the fuck." No, that video was not for you. This is for people who are like, "Oh shit, what did I do?"
Yeah.
And they're looking for red pill knowledge. And I was thinking about doing a Monkeynomics video of like how to squirrel away money, so if she does divorce you, you actually have something to land on.
Yeah. That's
but
a good idea.
Anyway, yeah. So I've had people like, "Oh yeah, I married a NAWALT and she's awesome." I'm like, here's why she's not on NAWALT and why it's not awesome. She's only with you because you bust your ass and give her and provide for her.
Yeah.
And you do this because you love her. That's how male love works. Just like you would provide for your children. I mean, you have a son. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't let your son go hungry.
No.
You would if you had to work 3 jobs to make sure your son had a roof over his head and had food to eat and had a good life, you would do it.
Exactly.
Because you love your son. Mm-hmm. And that's how men love women. But women don't love men like that. They will drop your ass as soon as it benefits them to do so. If you become sick or disabled or unemployed and she's still young and has options, she's gone.
Yep. If
you don't find a job very quickly. Chris Rock did a joke about this, like when a man's like, "Oh baby, I just got laid off." She's like, "Oh, it's okay. We will make it. We'll just get rid of some shit. Don't worry, we'll get rid of some shit." It's like she's talking about you.
Yeah, man. I went through it personally, so I know that.
She's not leave right then, but the countdown has begun.
Yeah.
And then you see like armchair arsehole, the guy who became disabled and his wife divorced him and now he's homeless. So, just quick note for these guys, just because I have a background in this. If you're married, you need long-term disability insurance so that if you do become disabled, you still receive income from your insurance policy. So your NAWALT wife doesn't divorce you once you become disabled. Your great NAWALT wife who just loves you unconditionally, if you become disabled and can't pay the bills, she's fucking gone. Because she knows she'll be better off on welfare with the government than taking care of you if you can't work. So if you're worried about that, which you should be if you're married, even to a quote-unquote NAWALT, you need to get insurance.
Yeah.
That would have saved the guy who's homeless. He'd probably still be happily married, and we wouldn't even know he existed.
Yeah.
If he had insurance.
Yeah.
So these guys who are married to the NAWALTs, no, I mean if you have a wife who's a traditionalist, and she doesn't mind. And here's the thing, like you look at the disparity of input to this relationship. So here's what you do. You work 40-hour weeks, at least, in your primary job. And most modern husbands come home and do at least half the housework.
Yeah.
So, and it's usually the hard work.
Oh, yeah.
You're the one like doing the lawn work. You're the one doing house repairs. You're the one painting inside. You're the one doing the hard work. What's your wife do? She
vacuums.
Uses a washing machine. She uses a dishwasher. Like all of the things that the wife does to pull her weight are all automated.
Mm-hmm. And I love how women like to complain about how we're the homemakers.
Yeah, bullshit. So the men built the home. Like everything that's not automated has become a man's job as far as housework is concerned. So yard work can't be automated, so a man has to do it. Taking out the garbage isn't automatic, so the man has to do it. The stuff that is automatic, washing the dishes, washing the clothes, that's what women choose to do. And they're like, oh yeah, we split the chores 50-50. You do the shit that's automatic, that's easy, and then you leave all the shit that's not automatic for your husband to do. But the man's already working 40 hours a week. Or the fucking worst part is the guy will be working 40 hours a week, and then the wife will get like either a part-time job or some bullshit full-time job where she's making like minimum wage. Mm-hmm. And the man's pulling in like 4 or 5 times what she pulls in. But she'll feel like because she's working, she'll judge it by time. So since you're both working 40 hours, you need to do more around the house.
Yeah.
It's like, bitch, I make 4 times as much as you. You could lose your job tomorrow. I wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
Hey, you better. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, you don't see women mowing the lawn very often.
Yeah, you never. Even if they're like a single mom, they'll get their son to mow the lawn.
Yep.
You're never going to see a mom mowing shit. She'll either pay a neighborhood boy if her kids aren't old enough, she'll pay another boy to mow the lawn. She ain't mowing the lawn. Unless it's like a ride-on lawnmower, then it's like a fun game to her. But yeah, it's just, and that's a best-case scenario. That's the NAWALT. My NAWALT wife loves me. She lets me put my penis in her vagina a couple times a week, and she does the dishes and the laundry, and that's it. That's what she does. She has sex with you, and she does the lightest of the light housework. And then think about what you do. You bust your ass. You pay for everything.
Yeah. All
the pressure is on you. It's like you really look at this relationship for what it is. And then in my one video, Married, Divorced, and MGTOW, the Monkeynomics one, you can replace those services for much cheaper. You can get a restaurant. You could eat out 5 times a week. And usually at restaurants, they give you a lot of food, so you usually have leftovers.
Yep.
So you basically have all your meals professionally prepared. And I don't know about you. If you've, when you had a wife or whatever, they're not the best cooks. Like, they're like... I think the reason why there's all these memes about women making sandwiches is because it's about the only thing that they can make. You don't tell a woman, make me a rack of lamb with some kind of fancy sauce and I cooked this afternoon. I had I made pork spare ribs and I had sparkling water with orange. So that was my dinner, and I made that myself. Doing all the shit I normally do. It doesn't even take that long. I just use like a barbecue pit. Mm-hmm. A woman couldn't fucking figure that shit out.
No.
They make sandwiches. They can make cereal. They're just so fucking lazy. They don't pull their weight at all. But they want all the credit because they make the babies. But the thing is, they don't make babies on their own. We have the secret ingredient. Yeah. You can't make a cake with eggs in an oven. You gotta have all the other ingredients to make the cake. So, both the man and the woman make the baby. The woman's just the one who, the baby grows in her, as opposed to an egg or a pouch. Yeah. But they want all the fucking credit in the world for that. Oh my god, and then the other thing they do beyond making babies is breastfeeding. But now we have formula.
Yeah.
So, other than pregnancy, every single function of a woman has been automated. We have automatic breast milk. We have automatic dishwashers, automatic clothes dryers and clothes washers. Women are just completely redundant other than reproduction.
Yeah.
So as soon as we get the artificial womb and cloning, fucking forget women. I'm just going to have a little clone myself.
have a little turd flinger running around.
Call him Nugget. And that'll be it. Just me and Nugget. Shit.
Jeez, I hear what you're saying, man, and it's just women just hijack, and you don't even have to be, like you said, they don't have to be a feminist. They just have to be a woman, and they'll hijack anything that comes their way, that men have done to improve their lives. They'll hijack it, they'll claim it, and they'll cry foul if you criticize them.
Well, just think. I got this firsthand. My grandma manipulated me for money. Her own grandson. So it's and these are the people, even a woman, the deepest kind of love that a woman can have in her life is for her own children. Mm. She'll never love a man as much as she'll love her own children. Like basically her priority, she loves herself, then her children, then her family, then you and your family. You're kind of at the bottom.
Yeah.
You're a very distant fourth. But the children basically they're the next level after her.
Yeah.
But you see women exploiting their children all the time.
Yep.
And this is like the deepest love. This is like the relationship that women are known. Oh, they're so nurturing. They're so loving. And yeah, they will absolutely throw their own kids under the bus. They will exploit them, manipulate them for money. Yeah. They don't care.
Well,
they're not.
If women were such nurturers, all right, I want to bring up an issue that Sexy MGTOW mentioned when I talked to him. And he mentioned abortion. And I don't know if his numbers are accurate because I haven't looked it up. But he mentioned, 1 billion babies, in the last few decades killed from abortion.
Yeah, I believe it. And that's
how nurturing, eh? How fucking nurturing those women are.
All right, here, you got to think of it this way. If they have the baby, they might get stretch marks.
Mm-hmm.
It might hurt their sexual marketplace value. I mean, come on, let's be reasonable here.
Yep. How can we can't lower her value.
What is a life of a human being when compared to a woman being able to get dick down every weekend and free drinks?
Yeah.
I mean, we got to have priorities here.
It's pretty unbelievable, man.
Yeah, well, and it's so fucked. And then there was this one, I'm not sure if this is real or not, but there was someone who posted a chat log of this woman who basically cried rape and then told her husband, I think this is a fake, but just assuming this is true. Mm-hmm. So this woman who's apparently married tells her husband that she's going to keep her rapist baby. And the husband says that, you aborted our baby, but you're going to keep your rapist baby. And then the woman says, yes, and you're going to help me raise it because, we're married and it's for better or worse. So, yeah, the big red flag is she wasn't raped, dude. She's cuckolding you.
Yeah.
Because now, the one time I could understand is like if the guy is sterile, maybe, and so they didn't know.
Or like we went back before, or maybe handicapped to a point where, it's hard for him to be sexually active.
Yeah, something where basically they can't have children, and she really wants a baby, and then she gets raped, and she decides she wants to keep the baby. I could almost see that to a point. I mean, obviously, if the husband is like no, then the wife should be like okay, but yeah, if she's like anyway, I don't think that's a real thing. I think that's like an internet hoax. But assuming that's true, that's super fucked up.
Well, I mean, that kind of stuff happens all the time anyway, to some degree. I mean, her calling it a rape is pretty iffy, I would say.
Well, yeah, who keeps their rapist baby? Who wants to, unless he was super hot, but super hot guys don't rape.
They don't have.
They don't need. They don't need to hold a knife to a woman's throat to get laid if they're that sexy. They have that if their genes are that good. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, but yeah, what's fucked up is the way women can. Like, it's their body if they want to kill the baby. Mm-hmm. Like, if you have... Let's say you really want a kid, and, you and your girlfriend decide, for whatever reason, you're going to have a baby, and she gets pregnant. She just... Like, if you break up, she can just kill the baby, and you have no say in it. It's her body. But then, if she wants the baby, and you don't, then it's your baby.
Yep.
You're going to take care of this. It's my body when I don't want it, but it's your baby if I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. They have to have it. They have to have it in their advantage, no matter what the situation.
Yeah. They won't play the game unless they win, no matter what.
Yeah.
And the thing is guys, I think the biggest thing is, guys need to know women don't love them. Like when all these women who promise, "Oh, I love you," and I promise, they're lying. They are lying, even if they don't think they're lying, because in their mind, when they say love, they mean they don't understand. A lot of women just don't understand. Men and women think differently. Yeah. So when they say it, they think you mean it the same way that they mean it. They don't understand that. Oh, men actually love women unconditionally. Oh shit, I didn't know that. But now that I know that, I'm going to use that to my advantage because that's what women do.
Yeah.
But men, again, I'm not mad at women. Women are what they are. They can't. It's in their DNA.
Yeah.
But the system that lies in, yeah, their DNA is to get DNA or dick and attention. But yeah, men need to be taught. They're not being taught by society and the culture. They're not being taught by their fathers. They need to be taught like this is the truth. Women don't love you for who you are. They do not love men unconditionally. They only love you for your utility. If your utility wears out, if you become sick, disabled, unemployed, whatever, if you don't provide, or even you could be doing everything right, if she just finds a guy that provides more than you, she'll leave for him. And all that talk of love. And then, I've had this conversation too many times where I confront the woman on her promises that she made. You promise this, you promise that. Because that's women promises is just like, they're like political promises.
It's a fart in the wind.
Yeah, if you confront them, well, you promise this, you promise that. They're like, well, I meant it at the time. When I promised never to cheat on you, I totally meant it when I said it. But now, now it's different because, dick, right? I can't say no to the dick.
Yeah, and the attention.
So now things have changed. So now that things have changed, all my promises don't mean shit. Yeah. And guys don't realize that. A woman promise is worth less than nothing. Yeah.
You know what? I think that's a good way to end this. We've gone almost 2 hours, about an hour and 45 minutes. I don't want to make it too much longer, otherwise people won't really watch it.
Yeah, they'll be like, good Lord.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a Star Wars video.
But having said that, that's a good way to close it. Anybody listening there, take that advice. Women don't love you. They don't understand how to do it. They love what you're able to produce for them, and that's about it.
Yeah. They call it love. They call it love. They don't understand love the way that men understand it. It's a word that has two different meanings depending on what your genitalia is.
Yes. And you heard it right here, straight from the monkey's mouth. Anyway, it was great talking to you, TFM. We'll do it again sometime for sure. There's a lot of good information in this. So we'll just end it here now, and we'll talk privately after this, okay?
Okay, sure.
All right, man. Take care. Thanks for everything. See you later.
Bye.